Hey everyone, it's Adam from Poutine Politics coming to you from COVID quarantine. Just want to let you know that Mike has found himself a new job. So congratulations to Mike. And as a result, we need to figure out our recording schedule a little bit. So we may not have current event podcasts for the next few weeks, but thankfully we've recorded a little bit of a back catalog, or have a back catalog of episodes that we've been keeping in reserve just in case. So for the next few weeks, hopefully not too long, but at least for the next few weeks, we'll be releasing a little bit of that back catalog. You'll notice this episode in particular was recorded back in October of 2019. So we sound like we're in the same room. We definitely recorded it long enough ago that we are physically distancing properly. Anyways, this is our episode on video games and politics. I mean, if you're going to trash talk, at least be able to back it up. And I mean, he definitely sounded like he was like 12. Welcome back to Poutine Politics, Canadian issues served with cheese curds. My name's Adam.
My name's Mike.
Today,
we're going to be discussing video games, and in particular, where some of the problems, controversies, and things like that. Sure. So when I bring up video games, what do you think is the biggest thing that politicians bring up as an issue when it comes to video games?
mass shootings.
They say violent video games lead to violent behavior in people, especially kids. How do you feel about that situation?
No.
Good.
That's about it. I mean, like, whoa, like, was I 12? No. I don't know. Like, I was like 11 or 12 the first time I played Doom. And around that age played games like Diablo and Hexen and Heretic and Rise of the Triad and all these other games that I'm going to mention that some people are going to be like, what is that? What are you talking about? Those are games.
Well, they know about Doom.
Yeah, I know they know about Doom, and they should know about Diablo. And if they don't,
but I
want you to stop listening right now.
Rise of the Triad.
Rise of the Triad.
Forgot about that game.
Yeah, I know, eh? That just came off the top of my head when I was rhyming some of those off. It's like, what were those games that we played, together in our buddy's basement?
So let's make sure. Okay, the reason why I say this, that it's garbage, is because the American Psychological Association states scant evidence has emerged that makes any causal or correlation connection between playing violent video games and actually committing violence. And all I have to say is to everyone that's like, oh, well, if you witness or you participate in violent stuff, then it's going to be a problem. I say, go watch the Looney Tunes from the 1930s. What's the difference?
Yep. Here, okay, you know what the difference is? Blood. That's the only difference, really.
Yeah. There's
I mean, like, yes, the violence that happened in cartoons, generally there was no blood. But really, would that be enough to for all of a sudden someone to have some sort of psychotic break later on in life, or even at the age of 16?
Yeah, no. What are the problems that politicians should be focusing in video games?
Addiction.
Anything else? I agree with you on the addiction. I want to make sure that's clear. I will be addressing that.
Okay. Other issues. Competition?
Not really.
Gambling?
Yes.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I guess I kind of sort of a little bit meant that with competition. I guess competition, though, I was thinking more so along the lines of whether there is a oligopolistic nature to video game publishing.
No, not even close.
No, I don't think so. I don't really
There's
think so
so
either.
Many
but
developers.
Yes.
With the exception of sports games.
Right. I mean,
because EA's locked it up.
I know that video game companies are smaller than things like banks, but
there's way too many studios. There's hundreds and hundreds of studios.
Yeah. Anyways,
and then like they're getting bought up. They're even getting bought up by Xbox, but there's still hundreds and hundreds.
Yes.
So when I look at it, when I say things that politicians and politics should be looking at, gambling is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Video game addiction is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
So I also look at e-commerce.
Okay.
Because they don't tax that, which
right.
is an opportunity lost. Micro-laundering.
Micro-laundering?
Yeah, laundering money.
Oh, okay. All right.
And cyberbullying. When I say e-commerce, I'm talking about the small transactions that you see online, like where, I can buy this for $4 and then take it and then there's no profit there. No tax revenue that can be generated, that we could get generated from that.
Right, because of where the companies are likely showing that they're earning that money from.
That's right.
Right, which we've covered in some of our political issue episodes.
Yeah,
right.
That's
right.
Right. When I say micro laundering, which I think is a quite cute term.
Yeah. Microtransaction money laundering.
How do you launder money online?
As I understand it, it would be you would use money to buy loot boxes, and then I know that in certain games they allow you to resell the items that you get from the loot boxes. So I'm assuming the laundering part of it would have something to do with the purchase and resale of those items, or it would be tied into that somehow.
Yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say specifically loot boxes. It can be any kind of gaming token that you can get.
Okay.
Yeah,
yep.
That you can get. And then you just set up a different website. Presto Bamago, you're using clean money to buy it. You don't know where the money's coming from. And the anonymity of the internet is quite easily going to produce a situation where...
Okay. So even something like I know a few years ago, not that I haven't played the game in a while, but I look into it from time to time, but World of Warcraft. Okay. So World of Warcraft has a token that you can buy, and it's essentially a token that you use for a 1 month subscription to the game. You can resell it though.
Yeah, I'm not.
So
it's more like,
yeah, that's an item that you could potentially do it with though.
But that it'd be very limited. We're talking
probably would
be. If you're, let's say you're playing a game and it has gold sapphires as its main currency,
right?
And you pump a whole bunch of gold money into gold sapphires, but you can resell them on a different market. Then you sell them for less than half the price. Sure, you take a loss, but you're coming to clean money, so you're happy with it.
So that's okay. So that might be more along the lines of the gold farming situation then, let's say, with World of Warcraft, potentially. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and also playing online casinos and playing online poker. There was one PokerStars, I believe, came into big scrutiny under that, where people were just basically, there's a bunch of gangs and stuff like that. They would go onto one particular table, all bet for a bit. Someone would come up ahead. PokerStars would take their cut, but they come out with the clean money on the end.
There's a casino website. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was running off of either, and might still be running off of either, I think it was the Akwesasne Reserve, which is an indigenous reserve that kind of borders Ontario and New York. And there was a lot of shady stuff going on there, but the governments of like the Canadian and U.S. government could really not do anything about it because of the fact that it was operating on a reserve. But apparently there was a lot of money laundering issues and stuff like that going on with that website.
Yes. So then we get to cyberbullying next, and I'm sure, what's it like to play a video game online?
Okay, I'd like to give you an example, a real world example involving me. You remember Guitar Hero, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Guitar Hero.
Oh man. So Guitar Hero 3, you could challenge people online, and I'm wearing my headset, and up to that point, I'd been talking to people, having a good time, being like, "Hey, yeah, good job," blah blah blah, and then this one person I get paired up with, I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And there's words that, because we're trying to stay safe for work on here, I can't reply, or I can't say, but he's like, "I'm going to kick your," and I'm like, "Okay."
Yes. And if you ever want to know what it's like, I think watching Avengers Endgame.
Oh, yeah. With Thor, right?
Right. And that's the thing. And the anonymity of online play leads to a lot of homophobia, sexism, racism, and things like that, which isn't, and every other kind of ism that you can possibly think that's the worst in society, because if you don't have to worry about any repercussions, you can say whatever you want to, right?
Yep.
And that's a problem.
For people listening, if you are unfamiliar with the situation, you should look into Gamergate.
Yes.
Okay. That gives you a real look into, I guess, the dark side, as it were, of kind of the misogynistic attitude and the sexism and things like that potential that do exist in the gaming industry. If you're interested in any of that, you don't even have to be interested in video games. If you're interested in any of that kind of thing, you should really read into and research Gamergate to see what kind of stuff happens in this world.
Yeah,
to real people.
Yeah, and another thing too is that a subsection, minor one, is swatting. That's a terrible idea because there was a kid named Andrew French. It was killed as a result of a swatting incident where people call SWAT.
Call the police.
Police on you, and they came in and they killed that poor kid.
Yes,
which is why it's a bad idea.
And this and swatting is something that when it has happened, it tends to happen to people that are streaming. So whether they're on Twitch or one of those platforms, in a lot of cases, like the ones that I've heard about, at least that's when it happens. So like they'll get swatted in the middle of a stream. Right. So while they're, essentially for some of these people, that is their livelihood. This is how they make money. And some idiot somewhere is calling the cops on them. And however they're getting their information to be able to send the police to the right address and not cool.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Not cool.
Don't do it.
Doxing is not a good thing. So that's like releasing people's personal information online, including things like addresses, phone numbers, things like that, especially things that that generally would be private or can be kept private. Mm-hmm. And that falls under cyberbullying as well.
How do current video games promote a gambling culture?
Well, again, that's part of it would be the loot boxes, because the loot boxes are random in nature. You're paying money because you are trying to get better equipment, or you're trying to get certain rare outfit items or whatever. You're trying to buy things that will make you that will potentially make you better at the game.
Yes.
But it's all about random chance. And so that's where the gambling aspect of it comes in, because people will spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to buy these things.
Yeah, they're the whales of the gaming industry.
Yep.
And Belgium took the step to ban loot boxes.
Yes,
from
they did.
Which I thought was a big step. And also, even for traditional gaming activities, one of the big things is there's no oversight. There's not like you don't have people monitoring to make sure, like you would at a traditional casino or something like that, about how much you actually are using.
Yep. There's no gambling addiction hotline or gambling addiction services for people that play games online. Whereas, when people that work in a casino, they're trained to view or to see that kind of behavior.
Now, video game addiction. The big question is, can you play for too long? Is a rhetorical question. So the APA, they have not included it as a diagnosis, but it is under review, whereas the World Health Organization does include it.
Right. Okay. And that's kind of that difference between, an international body in comparison to a national body. Or I guess as well, where an international body is more progressive, or has the opportunity to be more progressive.
Because they don't have to worry about it being a national policy.
Right, exactly.
And this, you can almost apply a lot of these addictions with social anxiety disorders and things like that. Mm-hmm. They're very similar. They're very similar to any kind of addiction of any kind.
Yep.
So you have a preoccupation with it. So you spend time away from it thinking about it. You have withdrawal. So you get upset when you're not playing video games. You have a tolerance. So you need to constantly increase the experience to get joy from the experience. Mm-hmm. You have difficulties reducing or stopping playing.
And this can tie into the gambling part of it with microtransactions and purchasing loot boxes and things like that as well.
Yes, it can. And keep in mind that most video game companies are specifically trying to get your attention. That's their goal by nature, because they want your attention as opposed to you having your attention somewhere else.
Yep.
And when you just say video games are guilty for trying to gain your attention, there's many devices, many different things are trying to get your attention. You give up on activities, so you don't have a social life anymore. That's another sign. You continue despite problems, so you're playing through sleep and work and those kind of things. You deceive and cover up, so you're willing to lie to people. Use it as escape to get away from different moods. So like if you're depressed or something like that, you basically create a second life, which is a game. So I get
exactly.
Life,
is the name
maybe
of
better saying.
Is the name of a game, but
you risk relationship or lose opportunities. So you stop engaging with people, lose your current job as a result of playing games. So those are the things that you need to look out for if you're worried about video game addiction. Not any one thing says that you are addicted to video games, but like most addictions, it's a combination of several. Just because you think about video games away from video games, because I've done it, doesn't mean I'm addicted to video games.
Right. I'm
But
glad
they're indicators.
I'm glad to say, like, I definitely do not play games to the extent that I used to, but I'm glad to say for myself, you reading that list and thinking about when I was like even a teenager and stuff like that, I was obviously never addicted to video games. I liked playing them, but I was not addicted to them because you kept rhyming all those things off and I'm like, nope, didn't do that, didn't do that, didn't do that, didn't do that, didn't do that. Oh, I feel good about myself.
There are a few that I can say, like, have I ever thought about a video game away from video game? Yeah, of course I have. But then again, it's one of those things where I'm addictive personality. I don't know if that's a technical definition, but I know that if I get involved in something, I go really deep into something. Yeah, sometimes I need to take a step back. Then just who I am. And that's okay. It's not always a bad thing, but you just have to know who you are. Now, here's the better question. How are video games a good thing? Let's not always dwell on bad things.
Hand-eye coordination.
Yes, cognitive skills.
Yeah, cognitive skills, because I was going to say mental faculties and things like that, which would fall under cognitive skills for sure. It's hard for me to think of like specifics, I guess, like other reasons why video games are good. Look, and it's not that I look down on them. It's just that, beyond the cognitive benefits of them, I don't look at a lot of the other benefits to them beyond that, I guess.
Well, there's the obvious one.
Okay.
They're just fun.
Well, yeah, okay. Yes. It creates joy.
Okay. Yes.
It is not going in the pile of things you're discarding in the Marie Kondo way.
Yeah, unless you're like me, who plays a video game, gets upset with it, and then plays a different video game. As a stress relief, which is a benefit of video games. I remember playing video games, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm angry at this video game, so I'm going to put another stress relieving video game to play."
Video games can be educational.
Yes, they can. That's on my list.
Okay.
They can also be a creative outlet.
Yes.
So anyone who's seen a Minecraft build will agree with you, because my kids love Minecraft, and I love their creative Minecraft, and the fact that I'm not stepping on Legos is a really big benefit.
Yeah.
My feet are thankful. And it can also help level the playing field for those that are disabled, right? So it's not all bad.
No, there's when you mentioned that, I was going to say there's been stories about companies making like specialized controllers for people with disabilities, specialized computers and different things like that.
Yeah.
So
and oftentimes even cell phones and things like that have those disability things brought into them, which is good.
Yep.
So with all this being said, how can we make video games better as a whole?
Whew, okay. Not be $80.
Good luck with that. They're not even. Remember, that $80 mark has been the same way for like 20 years.
Yeah, I know.
They should actually be worth more, and they're worth less. Considering,
probably,
like, if you look at the video game industry as from what it used to require to make a Super Nintendo game to what it requires to make an Xbox.
Oh, like cost wise.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
for sure.
What's investment in that? And yet the cost hasn't really gone up. So
I would argue that games also tend to sell more units now than they used to. And so as a result, they can potentially have a lower price point now than they used to have and still be able to make significant profits. But then obviously current games bring in things like the microtransactions and the seasons passes and the DLC and
that's where they make their money.
Right, exactly. That's where they make their money now, for sure.
It's not because of larger volume in units.
No.
What I think is we need to tax the e-commerce aspect of it.
Yeah.
Just what are you doing? We need to have a transparency for online purchases and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that way FinTrack can make those requirements so that way we're not, when we're dealing with gambling directly.
Yeah.
The anonymity needs to stop, because one of the reasons why people think they can get away with things is because you don't know who I am. I'm Firescore_361 and you can't trace me, so I don't have to worry about being caught by anybody. Well, if you change that around and say your
real name
and this is your, not necessarily for the community, but if I can report you to the server and the server can find out all your information, and then the cops can go after that person individually, that's much more effective. And putting in place implementation that cyberbullying is a thing and trying to monitor it that way would be much better.
So no more 360 no scope 69 420?
Yeah.
With like 7 X's?
7 X's, because that's taken. Yep, exactly. and just take Belgium's lead for loot boxes. Like, you're promoting gaming culture. There's a reason why gambling's addictive. The reason why they do it, it's all the same reasons, but that doesn't make it okay.
There's a reason why, for the most part, I stopped playing multiplayer games. I mean, I don't play a lot of games anymore. And again, not that I necessarily would have been the person that would buy loot box upon loot box upon loot box, but it cheapens, it feels to me like it cheapens the environment of multiplayer. It's just not fun.
And the problem with video game addiction too, and I didn't touch on this, is that people die from it. Like, it's bad. Like, and get homeless and everything. Oh, it's just anyway. And with that being said, it needs to be recognized. It needs to be video game addiction, much like drug addiction. It needs to be treated like that. Like, this is a real thing that people really struggle with.
But we don't need to have a say no to video games. It's the war on video games.
The war on video games. Yeah. They're trying to make the war about violence. That's not where it needs to be. And then, by the video game addiction, making the companies that produce those contents that are super addictive, make them pay for it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're going to make content that's that way, you have to pay for it.
This is like governments talking about making manufacturers have to pay for the disposal of plastic packaging.
Yeah.
Similar idea.
Yeah, same idea. Like, you cause it, you fix it. And it's not something where, you have to have quotas or things like that. Just make the industry pay for it. Like, this is the industry. You guys figure it out. This isn't, don't let the government figure it out. You guys figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the best way to do it.
But if you don't figure it out, the government will figure it out for you. Maybe.
And the government, and make it a harsh penalty.
Yes.
Right? And then encourage or incentivize educational games. Because the more educational games or educational content that you can put into games, even if they don't realize it, it would be better. And I'll use Minecraft as a good example. So if you encourage kids to use more redstone to do things, you're teaching them, even though they don't realize it, you can teach them how programming works.
Yeah.
Because
there's coding aspects to it. There's engineering aspects to it. Yeah, for sure. Well, I remember a video. What was it? It was a video where someone built a functional cell phone in Minecraft.
Yeah, like the things they do in Minecraft, it's just absurd. I'm not talking about that level, but if you encourage people to use that for educational purposes, either in the game mechanics, so like if they make a T flip switch, different gates, or gates and like not gates and things like that, and you give it a reward for doing that achievement, and all you need is an achievement, and the kids will do it.
Yeah.
Well, I would do it too. Who am I trying to kid? No,
let's try more than just the kids,
right? It's just educational around. That's all you need. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot. Oftentimes you just need to nudge people.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if the first time I ever played a video game was in school or not. It would have been pretty close because I know I had cousins that had an Atari, and I think I might have played that before I was in school. But I remember even in like grade 1, grade 2, we had like Commodore. At one point, there was Commodore 64, and there was math games and things like that. And then I think in grade 3, we had the Icon computers, and they had Cross Country Canada on them.
Oh, Cross Country Canada! Now the kids play Prodigy.
Yeah. Prodigy's a math game.
Prodigy's a great game, and I'll let my kids play that for hours and hours and hours.
Yep.
Whereas if you took a game like Pokemon and you made math, English, whatever, before they can do an attack with their Pokemon, they have to get a question right. Boom.
Yeah.
Done.
$1 billion seller.
Well, I wouldn't say no kid would buy it willingly.
$1 billion seller. You don't understand. It's Pokemon.
Every parent would buy it.
Exactly.
Yes, I would agree with you. It's $1 billion seller, but I mean, if you're going to tell me if I'm going to pick up Sword and Shield, the educational version, or Sword and Shield, the regular version, I'm picking up the regular version. I tell you.
Wait, you don't want to have to answer a math question before you catch a Pokemon with a Pokeball, or as you're throwing the Pokeball, you have to answer the question, and that determines your success at catching it.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it. I would do the math, but do I really want to do the English version of it? No.
Well, okay, fair.
No. There are more good things about video games than there are bad things, but just ignoring the bad things doesn't mean that they don't exist. And stop talking about violence in video games equals violence in public. It actually reduces it. Because if you have violent tendencies, what are you going to do? Well, you used to not be able to do anything other than go shoot somebody, but now you can shoot as many people as you want to on the game. Who cares?
That's right. That's how I used to do it.
I was mad at somebody. Light them up.
That's it. I'm going to meet you outside. And by outside, I mean online, on the server.
On the server, right? Let's settle our differences that way. And then punch each other in the face.
Yeah. Not trying to make light of it, but yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, the violence in video game things just...
It's not a thing.
It's not a thing. No. It's just an easy scapegoat. That's the problem. It's an easy scapegoat. Never mind the fact that, movies, especially over time, the violence in movies, I feel, has increased over time. Maybe a difference in violence. There's certain things that have changed in regards to the type of violence, but I think the magnitude of violence is still quite high in movies today.
And you can
choose.
choose.
But I wouldn't blame movies as the issue either. But, again, it's...
Violent crime is going down.
Yes, exactly. Violent crime is going down. My argument there with the movies is more just, why do we blame video games and not movies?
Oh, they blame movies too.
You just don't hear it as much.
And
you hear the video games being blamed mainly.
And also, remember music was being blamed for a while?
Yes.
So, yeah, they just blame whenever they can.
I know.
It's all the same. But not Looney Tunes, because Looney Tunes isn't the problem.
That's right.
Throwing a bomb at somebody's not the problem. Blowing somebody at point blank range with a shotgun.
Maybe Mel Blanc was a Republican. Maybe that's why they don't blame Looney Tunes.
Maybe. Wait, are you saying Republicans are the ones bringing the issue up?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. Well, this has been our episode on video games. One of many, probably. I'm sure video games will come up again.
Oh, I can talk at length about different other things, but this is just politics in video games.
All right, there you go. All right. My name's Adam.
My name's Mike.
Thanks for listening.